UMass Sports Weekly.
And welcome to another episode of UMass Sports Weekly. I'm your host, Casey Johnson. Leading off the show tonight, we're going to talk a little MLB. Joining me at the table to do so is Nick Kanellis and Chris Potomatis. Guys, thanks for joining me. Opening day, we're back at it. You know, we had some nice weather. Fell off today, back to a little snow here in Amherst. You know, not what I'm liking, but that's classic New England. But it felt like spring yesterday. Nice weather, baseball, Red Sox, Yankees. Love to see that on opening day. Nick, I'll start with you. Why don't you give us a little recap?
Well, I mean, I think the 8-2 final for the Red Sox kind of speaks for itself. I mean, the Red Sox played probably the best game that we've seen from them in a long, long time, considering how last season went. And it kind of made people forget a little bit about last year. It gave people a little reason for hope. I mean, you look at the way that they really had hitting from top to bottom. The only guy who didn't get a hit was Mike Napoli, or at least reach base. And John Lester pitched an all right game. Granted, I think he needs to go a little more than 5 innings, but I mean, the bullpen gave him some shutdown pitching, and I think there's reason to feel good.
Yeah, Andrew Miller looked really good following up Lester on that. Chris, what'd you see?
Basically, I thought it was a very good, complete game from everyone on the team. Lester, 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, not great, but I think you'll take that in the first start. He had pitched 4 really good innings, then he had 1 inning where he kind of fell off and went back to his old habits of not finding the strike zone and walking guys. But besides that, he had 7 strikeouts, which is definitely something that's good to see. He's being able to strike out guys. The bullpen, 4 innings pitched, only 1 hit. I mean, that's incredible when you think about first time out for a lot of these guys, and a couple of these guys are new to the team. Henry and Uehara. So it's good. It's good to see them come into the rivalry and be able to pretty much pitch perfectly. And the top of the lineup really set the tone for this team. Ellsbury, 3 for 6, 2 RBIs. Victorino, 2 for 6, 3 RBIs. And Pedroia, 2 for 6 with an RBI. So it's good to see the production at the top of the lineup really step up and set the tone. Then you had guys, at the bottom as well, also be able to get on base and do some things too. So pretty much everyone played well, and it was a solid 8-2 win.
Yeah, so the Red Sox they stacked up more than well with the Yankees. We know they're very injured right now, missing pretty much all of their best players, but it was still good to see the Red Sox like that. Now, in past years, we've been pretty comfortable with seeing the Red Sox and Yankees at the top of the AL East, them being the power teams. Not really the case anymore. Blue Jays making a lot of big moves. Orioles are a good team. Rays are a good team. So it's not the same Yankees-Red Sox days we're used to of the old. Right. So how do you guys see, Chris? I'll start with you this one. How do you see the Sox stacking up with the rest of the AL East?
I certainly think that they're in the thick of things this season. I don't think that they're right now the favorites by any means. I think based on the fact that how last season went, I don't think you can consider them the favorite. But certainly I think they have a chance to be a top 3 team in this division. When you look at the Jays, they're kind of the super team right now, but how many of those teams pan out? A lot of these teams kind of fall off the map, and you look at guys that they have, some guys are injury prone. Reyes, Bautista went down with a wrist injury. Brett Lowry's on the DL. The Yankees, they're injured. The Orioles, they won 15 straight extra inning games. Can they do that 2 years in a row? So I think a lot of teams have question marks, and I think you're looking at a lot of teams that will win mid to high 80s, and I think the Red Sox certainly, I think that's their ceiling. So I think that if they play well, they should have a chance to in September be in position to try to win a wild card or a division spot as long as they keep playing well. So certainly right now I think that they're in a decent spot to compete.
Nick, does your confidence still remain for the Red Sox?
Well, I agree with a lot of the things that Chris said, because I mean the biggest thing is I think the Red Sox will be playing meaningful games in September. However, you just look at, for example, even yesterday's opening day game. I mean, there's still some things to be concerned about. John Lester can't be going 5 innings. He's your number 1 guy. If you're getting 5 innings out of your number 1 guy, then that's a problem, no matter how well you pitch in the game. And, I mean, you look at some of the production from the bottom of the order. I mean, Jackie Bradley Jr., obviously the 3 walks and the nice catch in left field is something to feel good about. But, I mean, obviously you want to see him get a hit and get on base and do a little more, and well, at least consistently. Whereas you're not going to see 3 hits in a game from Jose Iglesias probably for the rest of his career, because that's just not what he does. But in terms of the overall picture here, I'm thinking that the Red Sox, it's going to be hard because the AL East is a very competitive division, probably the best in the American League right now. And I think just about any team can win it. Well, honestly, right now I'd say the worst team is the Yankees until they get healthy. But that could always change. Right now, I'd say, in my opinion, the front runner is Tampa Bay. I think they've really been the only team that's been consistent over the last 5 years, which is really scary to think about. Whereas with Toronto, I need to see it to believe it. Is R.A. Dickey really going to have another year like he did last year? Because right now, it's really hard for me to believe based on the first half of his career. And like Chris said with Baltimore, think of how many games they won in extra innings. Are they really going to do it again? So right now it's a toss-up. Right now I still think the Red Sox are probably going to finish no better than third, but I think they will be playing meaningful games in September. And I think after watching what happened last year, that's all you can really ask for.
Definitely.
Well, freshly underway here in the season, 1 game in, we already got some strong opinions here from our analysts. We'll see how they pan out, bouncing back off a really rough season next year. We'll see how it goes. Guys, thanks for joining us. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back with an interview with defenseman Connor Allen. Welcome back to UMass Sports Weekly. Joining me here at the table is junior defenseman Connor Allen. Connor, thanks for joining us. Now, again, you had a pretty good time here on this interview. Coming off a pretty good season with the UMass team. Just signed with the New York Rangers. Congratulations on that, newest member of the New York Rangers. First things first, what is it like now to know that you are signed with an NHL team?
It's pretty crazy, I think. I guess this has been my dream all along. I think everyone plays D1 wants to sign an NHL contract. I don't know if it's hit me yet. I was at the Rangers game last night, and I think it started to kind of hit me. But it's a cool feeling. But at the same time, it's sad to leave UMass early.
Now, coming from Chicago, I assume you're a Blackhawks fan growing up. Do you also have any love for the Rangers coming up and watching hockey?
I did. I am a Chicago Blackhawks fan, obviously, but Brian Leetch was my favorite player, and he's still works for the Rangers as the commentator. But because he was my favorite player, he's actually went to BC, so I guess that's not a good thing. But I did like the Rangers, yeah.
Yeah, Brian Leetch is a classic Boston defender, though. You can't.
Yeah.
Now, no, I'm a hockey player myself. I started playing because my father got me into it. It's usually a sport that gets passed down through families and stuff. But I recently heard that your father was a tennis player at Marshall.
Yeah.
Now, I was wondering, did he play hockey also? So he didn't play hockey?
No, he was, that's correct. He was on a tennis scholarship at Marshall. I'm not really sure. My brother started playing. I have an older brother, and he started playing, and I followed him everywhere he went, and I kept going. He actually quit, but I don't even know why or how we started. I just started playing, so wasn't passed on.
Yeah. Now, did you ever dabble in tennis as a kid?
I did, and I didn't like it at all.
No,
I used to go to tennis camps all summer, and it wasn't for me.
Yeah,
but it's a fun sport.
Yeah, you can't hit anyone in tennis.
So, right? Yeah,
it's just not the same.
I mean, you can. It's just
it just doesn't work out as well. Now we got some questions off Twitter. We actually received a bunch of questions off Twitter that people want to ask you, but we chose a few. First one is from Darla McMartin Anderson, one of your friends out in Sioux Falls, wants to know, what was one thing back in your USHL days in Sioux Falls that helped you to get where you are now and will continue to help you going into the pros?
Well, I think everything about the USHL and junior hockey is really helps. I think it helps more get you prepared for college, but and that in turn gets you prepared for pro hockey. But I don't know if I could pinpoint one thing. Having the chance to play, I guess, is the most important. Having the opportunity to play every night, which I did, and just kind of finding yourself on the ice and off the ice. I think that was the biggest part about taking a year off in between college and high school. So I think just playing junior hockey helped me just as not only as a hockey player, but as just a person too.
So would you say that because you play in the UHL, that definitely helped you reach the level of success you were able to here at UMass?
Oh yeah, I think if you look at the USHL, it's probably the best amateur hockey league in North America. Maybe I don't want to say the world, but
no.
It's a really good league, and I mean if you look at their numbers, I think of like 350 USHL jobs, there's like close to 300 commitments, full scholarships. So they really do a good job preparing you. And Sioux Falls is just a great city to play in for the USHL. But yeah, I think definitely my college success had a lot to do with where I played before I came here. So,
Yeah, I've seen some clips of those Sioux Falls games. They treat that like the NHL.
Oh yeah,
maybe a little rowdier.
Yeah,
at points
it's definitely more of a pro hockey game than college is because there's fighting and they sell beer and.
You ever scrap in the USHL?
Yeah,
Nice.
I got I think like 12 fights.
Ooh, all right.
My career, I'm not proud of them, but.
Did you miss that being at Amherst?
No, I
Sometimes,
didn't. I mean, I guess sometimes, but. I don't know. Fights.
Tough to drop. Well, hey, you can get back at it, start racking those fights up
Yeah,
again. Now that you're in the AHL, see how it goes.
I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably get beat up. But,
Well, one final Twitter question for you. They'd like to know, do you think your Boston peers here at school are happy with your choice to join the Rangers? And that question's from Anthony Raiola.
Well, Anthony's actually not a Boston kid, so he's from Minnesota. But I don't know. I don't think. I mean, you don't have NHL is the NHL, I guess. But hopefully they can. If I ever make the Rangers, they can cheer me on when I play against Boston. But Boston fans are pretty loyal and pretty tough, so I won't hold it against them if they're happy with it.
Most of the Boston fans, like myself, are also very loyal Amherst fans. So
Yeah.
I can say for a lot of them that it is good to see an Amherst guy go to the pros, take the steps to the next level.
Thank you.
Even if it is for a team like the Rangers, it's we're still happy for you. So
Yeah.
Connor, really appreciate you
Thank
joining
you.
us. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back with some more UMass Sports Weekly. Welcome back to UMass Sports Weekly. Here to join me to talk about everyone's favorite UMass athletics, Adamo Polzone and JMS, Jesse Mayfield Sheehan. Guys, thanks for joining us. Started off talking the men's lacrosse team. Been a hot topic of discussion for us. A lot of success from the team, and a little bit starting to fall off as of late. Tough loss to St. John's, 7-6. Kind of broke down as a team. Jesse, why don't you give me a little recap of that game?
Well, like you said, a tough loss to St. Joseph's over the weekend. Really came down to the wire, 7-6 loss, and they almost came back on them. Scored a goal in the final period to bring it within one, but just couldn't get it done. A really tough loss, and they did manage to outshoot them at 29-24 and force more turnovers on them, 22-13, but just couldn't quite pull it out. Zach Oliveri had a tough game in the net, only made 3 saves on the day. So really not one of his better games. He's been pretty solid in net in his first season as a freshman, but this one was not one of his better games, and unfortunately a tough conference loss to take for the team. They're now 0-2 in conference play, which is not a good situation to be in with only 4 games left and all of them conference games. Tough situation for the men's lacrosse team.
Now, Don, what else did you notice from this game, and what do you see with them with their remaining schedule being all conference?
Well, I mean, their remaining schedule, they're playing tougher teams, obviously, other than Delaware. So they need to capitalize on their scoring chances, definitely, and they definitely need to learn from their past mistakes. That's their only chance that they have left. If they don't do that, they're not going to get a single win in this conference, because when you look at Towson, they're 2-0 in the conference. They beat Hofstra. They also beat Delaware, which is pretty easy. But then Drexel, they're even tougher. They're 8-2 overall, and they're 3-0 in the conference. And they beat Hofstra at Hofstra in triple overtime. So it's looking really tough for UMass lacrosse. But just capitalize on their mistakes and capitalize on the scoring chances.
Now, with so much on the table for the remaining season, including the fact that all the teams are in conference, Jesse, would you say that all of these games are must-wins?
Absolutely. I mean, you're talking about, like you said, some of these teams are already 3-0 or 2-0 in conference play. Meanwhile, UMass really not in the best situation. Already 0-2 in conference play and only 5-5 overall. And you talk about a team like Drexel, it's 8-2 and 3-0 in conference play. If they want to have a good chance of getting a good spot in the CAA tournament, then they're really going to have to step things up in each and every one of these games. And I think you hit on a good point there, Adamo. They got to take advantage of their scoring chances. Last year, they averaged almost 13 goals a game. This year, they're only averaging 8.7 goals a game. Their offense is taking a serious drop-off. And yes, their all-star Will Manny has been dealing with injuries. and he's missed like half their games so far. But he's back now, and he hasn't made the hugest impact points wise. Been scoring a couple goals and assists here and there, but the whole team is going to have to step up and take advantage of their scoring opportunities, like you said, if they're going to pull things out for the rest of this season.
Well, it's going to be a tight finish for the men's lacrosse team. We'll definitely check back on that and see how that finishes up. Moving on to the softball team now. Not the greatest start in the world to this season. 2-16. I mean, I guess we've seen worse records like 0-18, but not the best record in the world. But turnaround from the team as they have won their last 4 games. Adam, I'll start with you. What in the team has caused this turnaround?
Well, I think it's mainly because their first 17, 18 games, they played some talented teams. Now, in the last 5 games, they've been playing some less talented teams with not so great pitchers. So I think that definitely has a great effect on the amount that UMass has won. And Katie Betancourt has been playing fantastic as well. She scored 0 home runs in the first 17 games, and now in the last 5, she's got 3 home runs with a .647 average. That's pretty significant, I think.
Yep, bringing those power numbers up quite a bit pretty quick. Jesse, what else have you seen from the team?
Yeah, I think Adamo really hit the nail on the head there. That it's really just been sort of night and day. Not only the sort of teams they've been playing, but the offensive results that you've seen. In the past 5 games, this team has scored 44 runs, and that's the exact same number of runs that they scored over their first 17 games. And the win-loss columns really show the results. They are 4-1 over those past 5 games, including their current 4-game win streak, whereas they were 2-15 over their first 17. And they were really facing some of the top teams in the country, some of the top pitching staffs in the country over those first 17 games in Florida and California. And now they're playing against conference opponents. They're playing at home at Sortino Field, and they're not facing as strong of pitching staffs. They're facing pitching staffs that are really more even at their level with the pitching staff that they have that's in a transitional phase. And the results are really showing from the offense. They've been scoring a lot more. Like you said, Katie Betancourt's been stepping up and seeing a lot of great hitting from everybody. Cindil Matthew, Kiana Diaz Patterson, Lindsay Webster, everybody's on that team is stepping up. You try and find a player who hasn't been hitting on this team over these past 5 games. It's pretty tough to do. This team's offense has just been explosive over these past 5 games.
So that's what they will need in order to continue to have this win streak continue on, because their offense was looking to carry them with their pitching really lacking with the loss of Sarah Plord. Now, you mentioned that their opponents, both of you guys mentioned that their opponents haven't been that great, but the difficulty of their opponent is going back up in a tough Fordham team in their next game. Jesse, what do they need to do to keep this win streak alive against a tough Fordham team?
Well, I think if their offense can continue, to put up strong performances and really prove that they can hit even against strong pitching staffs like the tough Fordham pitching staff. Pitchers like Jamie Lebovic, who's got a 10-7 record with a 2.54 ERA and 52 strikeouts on the year. If they can face up to pitchers like her, I think that'll really prove something, and that'll really boost their confidence for the rest of the season. And I think also the pitching staff and the fielding has got to step up because they really haven't necessarily been carrying their weight, making plenty of errors in the field behind the young inexperienced pitching staff. And the pitching staff has been starting to show some potential. Emma Mendoker stepping up in some tough runners on base situations. Caroline Raymond was dominant through the first few innings in the second St. Bonaventure game last weekend. She looked like she has some potential to really become a dominant pitcher, but just not quite there yet. So I think if the pitchers can make that next step forward, they could really stand a chance against teams like Fordham.
Now, Adam, what else do you see that this team needs to do in order to beat Fordham and keep this win streak going?
Well, obviously, keep the pitching up, but just ride the wave. They're hitting fantastic now. They haven't been hitting like this before. As long as they ride the wave and they keep their confidence up, I believe they'll have some kind of a shot against Fordham. Yeah, I know Fordham is a much tougher team, but you just got to ride the wave.
Yeah, poor opponent or not, a great performance is going to boost that confidence, help team morale, help everything going in the right direction. So we'll see on Fordham if it keeps going in that direction. Guys, thanks for joining me. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back to finish up with some NBA. Welcome back to UMass Sports Weekly. Here now, joining me at the table to talk a little NBA, Joey Sade and Tony Bolduc. Guys, thanks for joining me. So, Celtics. We're gonna keep it brief here today in the NBA and keep it on the Celtics. Right now, we gotta talk about the state of the Celtics. Now, 3-7 in their last 10, injury prone, some struggles. You see Joey sighing already. He's getting disgusted thinking about it. I'll start with you while it's fresh. What's going on with the Celtics right now? What's the state of the Celtics?
They're treading right now, Casey. They're just treading water. They're really just waiting to get into the playoffs. It's one of the worst times of the NBA season, not just for any team, but even for fans watching the games, because you see teams currently resting players. You see Miami resting their big stars during big games. And Doc Rivers came out and said that if Kevin Garnett had to play, as in if this was a playoff started today, Kevin Garnett would play. So they're obviously keeping him out for rest reasons and possibly injury reasons. And when you look at it, the Celtics are struggling not just because they're just playing bad, because injuries have eventually caught up to them. They already lost Rondo for the season. They already lost Solinger, Barbosa. When you add on Kevin Garnett, you see Pierce missing games here and there. You see Courtney Lee out with a sprained ankle, last week, missing some games. The chemistry is just everywhere. And outside the 2 China players they signed 2 weeks ago, every player on the Celtics roster has started a game for them. Now, that doesn't just mean that they haven't really found their identity as of now. It means that there's a flux of injuries going around, and Doc has to shuffle his lineups here and there every day, depending on what he gets from Eddie Lissert, the trainer, who's good to play, who's not good to play. So I honestly think that the Celtics, I think that they should just maintain. They're gonna get into the playoffs. I think that's almost a done deal. I think they have to make sure that they just stay healthy and just get into the playoffs on a good 2-3 game winning streak. Obviously, they haven't been playing as of well recently, as you said. But I just want to see a little bit more inspired play. Maybe have Garnett come back and have your starting rotation of, Bradley, Lee, Pierce, Bass, and Garnett. Have them play a few games before the playoffs to see how they actually have been playing. Because we know that when they do get to the playoffs, they flip that switch and they start playing a lot better. So right now, they're obviously not playing as well as we would like them to, but I kind of expect that in the dog days.
As Joey mentioned, a lot of injuries, a lot of resting, just a lot of fluctuation with the Celtics. What do you see with them as a team finishing up this season?
I mean, I definitely wouldn't worry, because as long as the media isn't lying to us saying that Garnett's ready for the playoffs, he'll be back, because we've seen and heard before he'll be back, and sometimes he's not back, which is bad. So as long as everything with what they're saying about people coming back and having the full core as a starting unit in the playoffs, I think we'll be fine. But during the regular season, we have no rhythm whatsoever. We have a new starting 5 every night. We're testing out players. But at the same time, this isn't that bad for the Celtics. We're getting rest for our key players, as in Pierce and Garnett. And Doc's seeing how other people can play. He said he's using these games as not only, he said he's still trying to win, but he's using these games to see who he can trust on in the playoffs. They said they want an 8 or 9 man unit in the playoffs. They have a core 7 right now, so it's between 1 or 2 players that can make or break whether they make the playoff roster. And it could be big, because someone could step up, especially big men. Big men are going to be huge. They're saying Wilcox could be coming back. He came back from an injury. He could be stepping up and playing big minutes for the Celtics off the bench. But I think that as of now, they shouldn't have to worry. We have a few. The next, I think we have about 10 games left, and 5 of them are against below 500 teams. So I mean, we can win with the squad we have right now. But at the same time, this is definitely a time where the team needs to get a rhythm going and get some wins. Yeah, it's never good morale to get losses for any reason, even if your squad's not there.
And like you said, they may be getting losses, but they're also scheming for the playoffs run. So, but with Boston fans, if they see losses, it doesn't matter what's going on behind the scenes. They're going to get all upset. So it's hard with that for them. You don't really know if they're really planning, if they're losing. It's just a lot up in the air there. But, Joe, you said you think it's pretty much a done deal. That they should make the playoffs. They will make the playoffs.
Philly's about 6 games back. They're not going to catch up.
So, in doing that, and you think they're kind of maintaining right now, not playing Garnett, keep giving guys some rest, should they play for a 7 seed, or should they maintain the 8 seed, maybe wait for a team like the Heat, definitely the Heat, that in the first round, or, what do you think their plan should be as one of the last teams making the playoffs?
I think that's one of the questions that Doc Rivers is contemplating, when he's playing his guys the rest of the season. Does he want to play Miami when they're fresh? Does he want to play Miami when not only his team is fresh, but also when Miami is fresh if they're not hurt? Or does he want to, play for that 7th seed, beat out the teams that they probably should be in the first and second round, and then if Miami's there in the conference finals, then they deal with them. But maybe they can wait for Miami to get knocked off by an Indiana, New York, possibly. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that's going to happen because Miami's, the juggernaut of not only the East, but they are the best team in the NBA. Mm-hmm. So for them to lose a 7-game series, I don't see happening. But you never know. Injury here or there, injury to LeBron James, Dwayne Wade. You never know what happens in the NBA, as we saw last year. The Celtics weren't supposed to get to the conference finals, and they did, and they went to 7 games. So I think that although both sides are, Doc Rivers has reasons for both sides of either maybe we should play Miami when we're fresh, or maybe we should rest. I think you should take the latter and wait to see what happens in the playoffs, because I do think that outside of Miami, the Celtics can beat any of those teams in the East in a 7-game series when they're healthy. Mm. When Garnett's playing healthy, when Pierce is healthy, when you got Bradley and Lee in the lineup and Bass is playing. And Jeff Green, he's going under the radar here. Jeff Green scored 20-plus points in 6 of the last 7 games. And so he's become that player that we've been expecting to. Mm-hmm. And, that X-factor player that people going into the season were picking the Celtics to be the number 1 threat to Miami because of Jeff Green. So he's playing like that player now. And that's good going into the playoffs. So I think that the Celtics should try to get to the 7th seed and beat the teams that they should beat. And if someone is there to knock off Miami, then you know what? They'll have a lesser opponent in the Eastern Conference Finals. But if they have to play Miami in the East Finals, they showed last year that although they're going to lose, they're going to put up one hell of a fight.
Mm-hmm. It really is just a real toss-up. You got your ups and downs with the 7th or 8th seed. Tony, do you agree with Joey on going for the 7th seed, or do you want to see LeBron first round?
I want to see them first round. I want to see both teams fresh. I want to see the Heat versus the Celtics, man versus man. Because I think if there's the way the Celtics have lost playoff series in the past is somebody ends up going down. And then game 6 or 7, you see Perkins has gone down in the past, KG's gone down, Avery Bradley's gone down, and this is what we say, but if we had them. Mm-hmm. So that's why if we have a full roster, our team versus the Heat, I think we have the best matchup against the Heat. I think we match up the best against them because I think we have good defensive matchups against them. I think anyone that Avery Bradley covers in the playoffs is going to average less than 20 points a game, I believe. I think Jeff Green and Paul Pierce are some of the best covers for LeBron James, even though he's not the easiest to cover. But then I see Bosch getting shut down by Garnett. I just see the Celtics, and not to mention the Celtics, I feel like want the Heat first round. Mm-hmm. They don't want any drama with the second round, third round where they see them. They want to see the Heat first round. They want to eliminate the Heat first round, and then they would. I don't want to say that would be like winning their championship because that's putting the Heat on another level, which they almost are. But
it's pretty close.
It's pretty
close. Yeah.
But at the same time, I think they want the Heat first round. They want to take them down, and I think that they have the best chance to take them down for everyone's sake.
Yeah,
because nobody wants to see Miami win.
Tony brings up a great point because when you look at last year's team, if they have a healthy Avery Bradley and a healthy Paul Pierce
healthy Jeff Green.
Jeff Green who didn't miss the whole season. Mm-hmm. They have a Paul Pierce who doesn't have a sprained MCL and a Ray Allen who doesn't have bone spurs in his ankle. That's a team that can beat Miami Heat when they're healthy. So that's one of the big points that you come out that if they have their full roster, they're going to war with Miami with their full roster, they probably have the best chance of beating them in the East.
Along with, and in my opinion at least, from what I've seen, especially during the Heat win streak and past playoffs, I think not only are they the best matchup for the Heat player-wise, I think by a long shot they are the least intimidated team by the Heat in the NBA. You see a lot of teams approach the Heat games like, we're playing the Heat, we're playing LeBron, it's going to be one of those. They go into it like, you're playing the Celtics now, you're in Boston. And I think, especially, we saw that when they were KG-less, Rondo-less during the win streak and only was it 3 or 2? Lost by 3 points to the Heat.
Yeah.
So 2 points,
Jeff Green had 43 points.
And a guy like Jeff Green going off. So it'll be a good matchup to see. I think it's definitely one that we are going to see, whether it be first round, whether it be later rounds. I hope, at least. I think it's one we definitely will see. So it's going to be fun to watch. Playoffs right around the corner. Good to catch up on it. And we'll be watching for sure. Guys, thanks for joining me. And as always, thanks for joining us. And stay tuned. And we'll be back next week. Same time, same place.